Hello there, you're tuning into Nightline with me, Nakia Basharudin. The top stories. Police to search for jungle graves of 12 orang asli on Tuesday. Witness reveals Datuk Sri Najib had influence over KWAP loan decisions. Welcome. An Orang Asli village in Gua Musang, Kelantan has been put under quarantine after 14 people were reported to have succumbed to a mysterious disease since early May, and over half of the villages have been infected. Kelantan Health Director Dr. Zaini Hussein said the move to quarantine the villages was necessary to contain the outbreak. The Health Ministry also on Monday confirmed that 50 Orang Asli from the Batik tribe in Kuala Koh, Gua Musang are still receiving treatment in 3 hospitals in Kelantan. Health Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad said one of the patients is in the intensive care unit in the Raja Perempuan Zainab II Hospital in Kota Baru. Datuk Sri Dr. Zulkifli was earlier briefed on the medical status of the patients in the Gua Musang Hospital HGM. While the villagers claim that 14 people have died, the authorities have only been able to conduct post-mortems on 2 of the victims. Initial tests showed that both could have died of pneumonia, but the exact cause of death has yet to be ascertained. Datuk Sri Dr. Zulkifli said both were likely to have had a bacterial infection followed by a viral infection. He also denied that the deaths were due to tuberculosis and leptospirosis, as previously reported. He said a post-mortem could not be conducted on the remaining 12 victims because they were buried in the jungle and it would take time to locate the graves.
Tim kesihatan kami kalau keluar untuk mencari itu yang sedikit gendala kerana mereka move around, especially yang sakit. Kalau ingin tahu, mereka tidak mahu meninggal mati di tempat masing-masing. Dia bila sakit itu dia move out. Itu menjadikan ia lebih sukar untuk kita kesani, because they are nomadic, dengan istilahnya itu, ya.
He advises anyone in the Kuala Koh area who has symptoms of fever and coughs to immediately seek medical attention at a nearby clinic or hospital. Meanwhile, the police operation to locate the graves of 12 Orang Asli who were said to have died of pneumonia and buried in the customary way in the jungle in Gua Musang, Kelantan over the past month will begin on Tuesday. Bukit Aman Internal Security and Public Order Department Director Datuk Sri Akril Sani Abdullah Sani said the operation would involve 30 members of the General Operation Force and policemen from the District Police Headquarters. Datuk Sri Akril said several Orang Asli headmen would also join in the operation as they were more well-versed in all aspects of the jungle. Once located, he said, the bodies of the Orang Asli would be exhumed and sent to the Gua Musang Hospital for autopsy to ascertain the actual cause of their death. He added the police would not be able to learn the cause of their deaths as long as the bodies remain unfound. In Kelantan, the state government on Monday denied claims that the spread of pneumonia among the Batik tribe of the Orang Asli community was due to mining activities. Its Deputy Menteri Besar Datuk Muhammad Amir Nik Abdullah said reports from the State Health Department showed that in this case, the pneumonia was an airborne disease and not due to water.
Kalau kita kata melombong apa semua, dia melibatkan mungkin pencemaran sungai dan sebagainya. Tapi setakat ni laporan awalnya ialah pneumonia ni kesulitan untuk bernafas. Dan dia ni berkait dengan udara. Udara. Jadi tak ada sekaitan dengan air. Jadi kalau kita nak kata ini kaitan dengan melombong terlalu awal lah. Itu statement tu saya rasa tidak bertanggungjawab.
Datuk Muhammad Amar was speaking to reporters after attending a meeting at the Kelantan Menteri Besar's official residence in Kota Baru, Kelantan on Monday. Asked if the state government had approved any mining activities at the settlement, he said the matter would be checked with the Lands and Mine Office. Datuk Muhammad Amar, who is also the State Public Administration, Regional Development, People's Wellbeing and Integrity Committee Chairman, also evaded the question of whether there were any illegal mining activities in the area. Commenting on the issue, Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said the government is trying to determine the actual cause of deaths of members of the Batek tribe in Gua Musang. He said their deaths may be due to a disease, but the disease has yet to be identified.
Ya, kita sedang mencari sebab kenapa mereka meninggal dunia dengan begitu ramai. Mungkin kerana dapat jangkit daripada satu jenis penyakit, tapi waktu ini kita belum tahu apa jenis penyakit yang menyebabkan kematian mereka.
Tun Dr. Mahathir said this to the media at a media briefing after launching the Rumah Peduli Melaka in Jasin on Monday. The Kuala Lumpur High Court was told that Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak had influence over the Retirement Fund Incorporated KWAP's decision to grant a loan to SRC International Sdn Bhd. Former KWAP Chief Executive Officer Dato' Azian Muhammad Noh said the former Prime Minister, who was also the Finance Minister at the time, was her ultimate boss and thus had influence over KWAP's decision to grant a loan to SRC International. Dato' Azian, the 38th prosecution witness in Datuk Sri Najib's trial, which is in its 21st day, said this on Monday when re-examined by Deputy Public Prosecutor DPP Dato' Ishaq Muhammad Yusof. She said although there was no legal compulsion on the part of the accused, he still wielded a certain degree of influence, given that he was the finance minister and the fact that the Ministry of Finance Incorporated owned SRC International. When asked later by Datuk Sri Najib's lawyer, Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdullah, to clarify what she meant by influence, Dato' Azian explained that she felt it was not an uncommon reaction from a subordinate when instructions were given from a superior. When the DPP asked why Dato' Azian had to see the Prime Minister and convey that KWAP could only give 1 billion ringgit, the prosecution witness said it was done upon the request of the investment panel. Also at Monday's hearing, the prosecution presented its 39th witness, former SRC International Director Tan Sri Ismi Ismail, who said that he expressed concerns about the firm's corporate governance and financial practices to former Chief Executive Nik Faisal Arif Kamil. Tan Sri Ismi said that Nik Faisal would seek to allay these by saying the firm had already dealt with the issues. He told the court that all board decisions had to be referred to Datuk Sri Najib for his advice and consent. He said he took the arrangement to mean that all matters and discussions at SRC International would be communicated by Nik Faisal to Datuk Sri Najib. The former SRC International Director, who was appointed to the post in August 2011, said he resigned 3 years later after failing to accept Nik Faisal's corporate practices. The hearing before High Court Judge Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali continues. The Prime Minister wants all government agencies to ensure that every civil servant in the country is not left behind in the face of the Industrial Revolution 4.0. Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said this is because public sector employees need to have relevant knowledge and skills to improve their competitiveness. Tun Dr. Mahathir said the revolution was a catalyst for the transformation of the government's administrative system.
Kita sekarang sedang menghadapi revolusi perindustrian keempat, Industri 4.0, melibatkan teknologi otomasi seperti internet pelbagai benda, the Internet of Things, big data, integrasi sistem dan cloud computing yang akan secara langsung mengubah norma kerja kita.
The Prime Minister said this when delivering his keynote address to civil servants in Seri Negeri Air Keroh, Melaka on Monday. He added that the development of the 4.0 Industrial Revolution will change the landscape and norms of the people's work, especially among civil servants. Hence, Tun Dr. Mahathir wants civil servants to prepare themselves with the latest knowledge and skills to ensure they are able to be competitive in order to best serve the people. Also present at the ceremony was the Prime Minister's wife, Tun Dr. Siti Hasmah Muhammad Ali, and Malacca Chief Minister Adli Zahari. In Jasin, the Prime Minister has urged other states to emulate the Malacca government in building the Rumah Peduli affordable houses, especially for the hardcore poor. Tun Dr. Mahathir said the system used for developing the affordable housing project was very good, with an offer price of almost 40,000 ringgit, and that the houses built were also far cheaper than those in other projects.
Saya harap sistem ini juga akan diguna di negeri-negeri yang lain. Dengan adanya rumah yang begini murah, maka dapatlah rakyat yang termiskin mengadakan rumah mereka sendiri, ataupun mungkin mereka dapat sewa rumah untuk hidup lebih selesa.
Tun Dr. Mahathir said when launching Malacca's Rumah Peduli at Lipat Kajang in Malacca on Monday. The Prime Minister said he was impressed with the efforts made by the state government to help this group of people who own land by building affordable houses for them. He said the approach taken by the Pakatan Harapan government clearly showed that it was living up to its promise to provide 1 million houses in 10 years. Meanwhile, in his keynote address at the Prime Minister's gathering with Malacca state civil servants at Dewan Sri Negeri, Tun Dr. Mahathir urged civil servants to avoid being greedy to the extent of committing corruption. Stressing that the government viewed seriously corrupt practices and power abuse in the civil service, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said the National Anti-Corruption Plan, which was comprehensive, was drawn up recently as a reminder and warning to all leaders that Malaysia and its people did not accept corrupt practices. He noted that various measures had to be taken to tackle corruption and that it was everybody's responsibility to fight it.
Antara yang perlu kita bendung adalah menahan diri dari merasa tamak sehingga melakukan rasuah, menekankan kesabaran supaya kita tidak cepat marah apabila berurusan dengan rakyat, melaksanakan tugas dengan sepenuh hati kerana.
He said the values and principles emphasized during the months of Ramadan and Shawwal were closely linked to the attitudes and actions of the civil servants, where the most important was controlling the desire that was most crucial in implementing the responsibilities and trust accorded. Tun Dr. Mahathir said that the government and the people especially placed high hopes on civil servants to become clean, efficient and trustworthy. Astonishing 5 million ringgit in jewelry looted from goldsmith. Welcome back. Amid the risks and challenging uncertainties in the global economy surrounding the US-China trade talks, investors remain confident about Malaysia as an investment destination. According to Malaysian Investment Development Authority, MIDA, the country successfully attracted a total of 53.9 billion ringgit approved investments in the manufacturing, services and primary sectors for the first quarter of 2019. This is an increase of 3.1% from the same period last year. Foreign investments increased by 73.4% to 29.3 billion ringgit, while domestic investments approved amounted to 24.6 billion ringgit, contributing 45.6% to the total. The investments approved in January to March 2019 were from 1,678 projects. These projects are expected to generate more than 41,200 job opportunities for the country. The positive investment growth of Q1 2019 was mainly driven by the robust performance of the manufacturing sector that soared by 126.8%, which accounted for the largest share of total potential employment in the economy with 22,970 job opportunities. This followed by the services sector with 18,000 job opportunities and primary sector with 240 employment opportunities. Meanwhile, chief executive officers, CEOs in Malaysia are maintaining a positive outlook, with 8 out of 10 reporting confidence in the growth prospects for their company and the industry they operate in. According to the 2019 Global CEO Outlook report, of this, 60% are projecting cautious top-line revenue growth of up to 2% over the next 3 years. Published by KPMG International, the report also revealed that globally, business leaders are optimistic about the future, with 94% confident about their organization's growth prospects, an increase over the 90% from 2018. However, it also said CEOs have growing anxieties about existential threats. KPMG also found that a proactive merger and acquisition strategy is on the agenda for 8 out of 10 CEOs in Malaysia over the next 3 years in pursuit of growth. Meanwhile, 31% of CEOs in ASEAN are wary of the US-China trade negotiations and the impact it will have on their organization's growth. In Selangor, a group of thieves carted away a staggering 5 million ringgit worth of jewelry and other valuables from a goldsmith store, which was closed for the Aidilfitri holiday over the weekend. The burglary at Section 7 shop in Shah Alam was only realized by the owner at 10 a.m. on Monday as he was reopening the premises to resume business following the festive break.
All the barang-barang kemas yang disimpan di dalam 4 peti besi. Untuk makluman, peti besi ini disimpan dalam sebuah strong room, bilik kebal. Dalam bilik kebal tu ada 4 peti besi. So semua barang-barang kemas dalam 4 bilik kebal tu telah dicurilah.
An initial investigation showed that the thieves had gained entry to the premises via the ventilation system at the back of the building. Police believe that the burglary took place on Friday between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. and committed by more than 3 suspects described as professional criminals. Police will review CCTV recordings from nearby premises as part of the investigation, which is being carried out under the Penal Code for house trespass or house break-in at night. He also urged those with information on the incident to come forward to assist the police in the probe. The Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court on Monday fixed July 4th for a remention of the case of Kinabatangan Member of Parliament MP Datuk Sri Bung Mokhtar Radin and his wife Datin Sri Zizi Izzat A. Samad for corruption cases. The charges involved a sum of 2.8 million ringgit to obtain approval for Felcra Berhad to invest 150 million ringgit in Public Mutual Berhad Unit Trust. Judge Rosina Ayub fixed the date after Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC Deputy Public Prosecutor Alan Suman Pillay told the court that some documents were still incomplete. The prosecution also informed that they would make an application for the cases of Datuk Sri Bung Mokhtar and Datin Sri Zizi Izzat to be tried together and transferred to the Kuala Lumpur High Court. In Johor, State Police Deputy Chief Commissioner Datuk Muhammad Kamaruddin Mat Din stressed that the Police Mobile Patrol Vehicle MPV, which was seen going against traffic in a viral video, was heading towards an accident site to provide assistance to the accident victims. The incident happened at about 2:30 a.m. on Sunday between kilometer 23 and the location of the accident at kilometer 22.1 of the Second Link Expressway eastbound. Datuk Muhammad Kamaruddin said the MPV was in its rounds and to control traffic near Plaza Tol Perling when it was notified of the accident. Since it was the nearest to the location, the MPV turned back to the accident site, which was just 1.5 kilometers from Plaza Tol Perling, despite having to go against traffic. However, he said all safety measures were taken to ensure that the beacon light and siren was turned on and the MPV only used the emergency lane. Indonesia put Sinabung volcano on red alert. Details when we return. We're back with the foreign news. The United Kingdom and South Korea have signed an outright free trade agreement, FTA, on Monday to avoid disruption if Britain leaves the EU without an agreement. The agreement deal was signed in principle between International Trade Secretary Liam Fox and his South Korean counterpart Yoo Myung-hee in Seoul. According to Liam, the deal is roughly in line with the terms of the existing Korea-EU FTA and is expected to be fully ratified by the end of October. He said the deal would pave the way for increased bilateral trade by allowing both countries to maintain no tariffs on their exports. South Korea's exports to the UK reached $6.36 billion last year, with more than 100 South Korean companies operating in Britain. The country exports mostly cars, car components, ships, and aircraft parts to Britain, while the UK exports mainly crude oil and automobiles to South Korea. The UK is attempting to replicate the EU's some 40 existing trade agreements in case it exits the bloc without a Brexit deal. It has so far signed 12, including with Switzerland and Iceland and Norway. The South Korean one is the first to be signed in Asia. Hong Kong's pro-Beijing leader said Monday she had no plans to scrap a controversial plan to allow extraditions to the Chinese mainland, a day after huge crowds came out to oppose the proposal. According to Chief Executive Carrie Lam, the bill will be a long-term benefit to the city, ensuring that Hong Kong will fulfill her international obligations in terms of cross-boundary and transnational crimes. Speaking from the Legislative Council, she added that her government would continue with a second reading of the bill on Wednesday with no delay. She also denied repeatedly in the press conference that Beijing was behind the bill, which would allow Hong Kong criminal suspects to be extradited to mainland China for the first time. Indonesian officials warned on Monday against the prospect of further eruptions from an active volcano on the island of Sumatra after it emitted a huge column of ash, causing panic among residents. According to Indonesia's Mitigation and Disaster Agency, the volcano emitted the plumes of ash at around 4:28 p.m. local time on Sunday. A volcano observatory notice for aviation has now placed Mount Sinabung on red alert, the highest threat level, which generally means an eruption could occur. Authorities have also enforced a no-go zone 5 kilometers from the crater and urged locals living near the volcano to wear masks when ash rains down. The volcano last erupted in 2014, killing 16 people and forcing thousands more to be evacuated from their homes. Ronaldo targets more trophies with Portugal. Stay tuned. We're back with sports football. Portugal captain Cristiano Ronaldo has vowed to lead his national team in a drive for more silverware after their Nations League triumph on Monday. He said Portugal has a wonderful age group of players and has the potential to win more trophies.
Vamos estar na luta, tenho a certeza que esta seleção vai estar ainda melhor, porque os jogadores mais jovens vão estar ainda mais maduros, mais rodados e esta seleção tem futuro, não tenho dúvida nenhuma.
Portugal have won the inaugural UEFA Nations League tournament after beating the Netherlands 1-0 in the final. Gonçalo Guedes scored the winner early in the second half to give Portugal their first trophy since the 2016 European Championship. Ronaldo emerged as the tournament's highest goal scorer, while his teammate Bernardo Silva was named the player of the tournament. And we have reached the end of the bulletin. In Vietnam, a sea of boats are seen anchored at sunset in the coastal town of Pan Ri Qua, creating a soothing scenery to the eyes. Let's take a look as we wrap up Nightline this time around. I'm Nakia Bashiruddin. Thanks for keeping me company.